I would like to welcome you to the June edition of On Palais, Let's Talk Workshop and Webinars 2024. We want to thank our sponsors first and foremost. Southern Alchemy Wellness for the use of the beautiful space, Automated System Consultant for AV support, Marb Language Services for Haitian Creole and Spanish simultaneous interpretation, and Shonda Howard with Creative Travels. Before we begin, I want to share with you the mission for Origin Foundation and our core values. The mission at Origin Foundation aims to increase the level of education and participation of the BIPOC communities in positive behaviors to fight the different types of disparities affecting these communities. And the core values that we live by, we work by, we do everything by: authenticity, being true to ourselves in our originality; preservation, to give honor to knowledge that has been transmitted through generations and conserving the important aspect that defines culture; respect, we keep in high regards each other's contribution to our joint journeys, recognizing individuals' importance and value; integrity, honesty mirrored through a moral compass that upholds our actions; and sharing, to occupy a collective space of love to promote exchange and growth. Today, we have the honor of being educated by no other than Shonda Howard, leading this important gathering and information session, Empower Travel, Affordable and Accessible Adventures for All. Because I know everybody likes to travel, everybody thinks that it's too expensive, it's impossible, we can't do it. She's gonna show us how we can. Shonda Howard, a dynamic serial entrepreneur, loving mother, a devoted wife, is a seasoned travel advisor based in Tampa, originally from Newark, New Jersey. Her journey into travel began in childhood with vacation and travel clubs, sparking a passion that has taken her to 9 countries and 26 states. Shonda believes financial constraints shouldn't hinder anyone from exploring the world. With expert budget planning and personalized guidance, she ensures travel is accessible for all, especially individuals with disabilities, reinforcing her belief that travel is a fundamental right. Introduced to travel by her Aunt Rose, Shonda's first significant trip to Disney World ignited her lifelong passion. Her participation in the Genesis Rites of Passage program at age 11 expanded her worldview, offering firsthand experiences with diverse cultures and debunking stereotypes about Africa. In 2019, Shonda became an independent travel agent, complementing her event planning business, Creative Dates. This role allows her to create lasting memories and educate clients about global cultures. For Shonda, traveling is an educational and restorative experience essential for personal growth. Currently, she's organizing a Mommy and Me Paris trip and the Refill Your Cup 2025. Oh, we did the 2024. That's why I'm smiling like that. It was awesome. Y'all need to jump on it if there's space. Well, I lost my spot. Okay. And is passionate about making travel accessible for families with disabilities. Shonda's work underscores that travel is crucial for education, rejuvenation, and global understanding. Let us welcome Shonda.
Thank you. Oh, wow. So yeah, the thundering, let me know if it's ready. Okay. Hello everyone. Happy Friday. I'm so excited to talk about travel. Travel is the one thing that I love. I can talk about travel all day, and I love exploring different places that we can visit, etc. So, we're going to be talking about empowering travel, affordable and accessible adventures, making travel inclusive and budget friendly. So the three things that are major is the importance of travel, affordability, and accessibility. And then I'm going to provide some tips on how you can make your dream vacation or how you can travel with family, how easily it is without breaking the bank. We can go to the next slide. Okay. The benefits of travel. So the first benefit of travel is personal growth and development. When you decide to travel outside of the US or even in the US, you learn a whole lot that you would have not learned, just sitting home because you learn how to budget, you learn how to speak a different language when you're in another country. You also learn things about yourself that you didn't know, like can you roommate with someone? Can you share a room with a stranger? Can you kind of solo travel? Can you be staying in a hostel where you can save a whole lot of money, but you'll pretty much just have a bed and you'll share everything else. So you'll learn a whole lot. So you growth and development is something that you'll get. And then cultural understanding and appreciation. So cultural understanding and appreciation, typically you can learn the culture. You'll learn what they do, which is different from what we do here. And also you'll learn different dances, just traditions that are maybe in another country that we don't have here, and so forth. Now, mental and physical health benefits. So travel is very healthy for you. You actually do more exercise on a traveling trip than typically you would do home. You do a lot more walking. You are always on the run to try to get to your next activity. So you're doing activities that you typically would not do home, like canoeing, kayaking, skydiving, bungee jumping, zip lining. So like I'm braver when I go out the country than I am in the US. So when I go out of the country, any physical activity I can do. So like I'll do kayaking, I'll do zip lining. Like every time I've zip lined, it's always been out of the country. Now when I get here, I'm never going zip lining. But when I'm like, yeah, let's go zip lining. So you explore more and you actually get your body into more physical shape. Now, 30% of men that do not travel have heart attacks because they are working all the time. They never take time out for themselves. And then most women that do not take vacation, at least 2 vacations a year, they have strokes. They're stressed out. Travel helps with stress. So like if you're working every day and then you have the children, you have so much stuff that you don't have time to really take out time for yourself. And when you go on vacation, you usually take a day to yourself. Even if it's a family vacation, we typically take time to just be with ourselves, be with our thoughts, or even leaving things alone, like the mundane of driving everywhere and letting someone else drive you, or letting someone else handle cooking all the meals. Typically, I know when I worked the 9 to 5, I would get up in the morning, get my daughter ready for school, and then I would go to work. Then I get off of work, pick her up from whatever activity. Sometimes she would have like a basketball game or karate or something like that. And it would take me out. I wouldn't get home until like 7, 8 o'clock. Then I still have to cook dinner. Then we still have to do homework. And then after homework, then it's like rest time and maybe you have some me time. So you're stressed out because every day that's your routine. And then on the weekends, if you have children that are in activities, you're always running. You never take time out for self. So travel awards that, and then it helps with your mental health. And then the impact on families and communities. Like offering your child travel is the best gift you can give them. Instead of buying them Jordans and buying them whatever high-end item is out right now, travel is an experience. You're paying for an experience. You want your kids to have experience because they're going to grow out of those shoes. They're going to grow out of those clothes. They they want a game. They wanted this game all year. You could have saved all your money up all year for a game for your child for Christmas. and then and then they put the they put the right. Then they'll put the game away really quick. You know, like you buy games, you buy all these toys, and then they don't remember that. They next Christmas you have the same pile from last year where they may have played with maybe one or two things, but for the rest of those things, it didn't matter. So you could have just really gave them a trip and they would always remember that trip. I always remember my trips. Like when I was a kid, my aunt took me on almost all my vacations. So I remember those vacations and I remember going to the different museums and seeing different things. Even my first time coming to Florida was I came to Disney, but we saw a Michael Jackson 3D show. That was my first time ever seeing a 3D show, a concert. So I thought that was really cool. So when you travel with your family, you can invite them to learn different things and to pretty much um, be better people because then they learn how to also treat other people. And if you go to places where maybe they're not as fortunate as you are, they appreciate the things that they have and they see how these kids are happy and they don't have half of the things that they have. So now they come back with a different respect for home. Okay, I'm ready for the next slide. Okay. Affordable travel, myth or reality? So there are so many misconceptions on travel, especially for our people. They think that, one, you got to be wealthy. If you don't have any money, you can't go on trips. But that's not true. If you plan correctly, you can go on vacations. If you there's so many programs out here. If you have credit cards, you can use your points, your miles. You accrue most credit cards you can accrue some kind of bonus. They either have miles or they have like cash back. And you can either use the cash back for travel or you can use the miles. And if you accrue so many miles, they'll give you free things like some credit cards even offer money back for your TSA pre-check or for global entry. You'll get your money back. They pay for it. So you pay for it with the credit card and then they'll reimburse you with a credit on your credit card for that. So that's a way to save and also using like Groupons and um actually you can travel like within your state and that's budget friendly. Like you don't have to, you can travel within your state. There's so many things in your state that you probably never even thought about, especially the state parks. You can camp at the state parks. It's only in Florida, it's only $25 a day. And you can have two tents or you can bring like a RV. But if you don't have an RV, you can they also rent out cottages. So you can live in you if you live in Florida, they have things like Florida on a tank full. And it'll tell you different places you can go for a tank and it'll give you like free museums that you can go. Like travel doesn't always have to cost to go. Like you can go to museums, libraries, significant places and historic places in your state or your city, or even just going to the neighboring state and learning different things you can do. So you don't have to be wealthy. Dangers of travel. So a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't want to travel because it's dangerous there," but crime is everywhere. If you watch the news wherever you are and you turn on the news, There's always something going on. So as long as there's humans in the world, there'll always be crime. But that's no reason to not travel. You just have to be smart, you know. And one of the things you can do is research the place that you're going. Watch their local news. Don't watch our news for their country. Watch their news and see what's going on. We are in the information age now. So we can go on the internet and actually look up things in that country for yourself. Look for yourself. Don't just go by what people say. You can also join communities online, and they'll tell you, like, I just went there last week and this is what's going on. Because sometimes people say things just to scare you, to make you feel like you should not travel. And it um um what it what is the word I'm trying to put, the currency. So it's like when you're traveling and you're taking money out of the US and you're putting it into another country and you're letting that country thrive. Some people don't want that. They don't want that country to thrive. And they don't want us to think that we can travel, but they can travel. They've been to these places, and then they'll tell you it's dangerous for you to travel there. But why is it dangerous for you to travel there but not them? Because they're starting businesses there, and they're opening up shop over there. And they're not gonna, but they won't let us know that we can open up shop too over there. And about time we understand that we can do it, they've already monopolized the places. So it's not as dangerous as people think. Most places are actually less dangerous than here because of tourism. They pride themselves on tourism, so they want to make sure that you are okay. I went to Cuba a few years ago, and they were saying how dangerous it was to go to Cuba. I went on a solo trip. I walked the streets all types of day and night. No one bothered me. No one even, I walk the streets here, somebody is going to bother me. I'm going to get catcalled. I'm going to get something. They're not just going to let me walk the streets. So it's the same. Um, Traveling abroad is too difficult. No, it's not difficult. It's only difficult if you're lazy. If you're a lazy person, then it's difficult because you don't want to put in work. You have to put in work in anything you want to do. And if you're trying to go abroad, you want to learn before you go. You don't want to just get there and try to figure it out. You want to do some research. So if you're going to put in some work, it won't be as hard, as difficult as you thought. And it's not culturally relevant. We are a people that are everywhere. And so it's relevant for us to know where, when we go places, where people that look like us are. Because in some places, they'll show videos and pictures that we're not there. We're everywhere. And you would think, oh, well, there is a small community, and we're really large in most countries, but we don't know that because we're going by someone else giving us their story of our life, but it shouldn't be. Okay, so budgeting for travel. It's important to set a budget, right? Everybody likes to say, oh, there's no budget. You know the max that you want to spend, and you know what things you want. If you do not set a budget, then how are you going to actually go anywhere? You need a budget for everything. If you start a budget, then you can know what type of vacation you really can take. You know, maybe your first vacation, your budget is $500. So, I'm going to have to stay local because I want to stay within that $500 range. Or maybe you may know someone that lives in a state that you can maybe stay at their house. And then your $500 can go longer than it would, if you had to pay for hotel and accommodations and things like that. So you want to always set a budget, be realistic with your budget. Make sure in your budget you include your accommodations. You want to include how you're going to get there. You want to also include your food. How are you going to eat? Put a budget of how much you want to spend to eat per day. Also, gifts. Are you planning on buying gifts? Are you planning on bringing back tchotchke? Or if you're planning on bringing back things, how much do you want to spend? How many people? are you buying gifts for? Do you want to, I personally don't buy gifts. I don't bring back nothing. You should have came on the trip. So I don't really bring anything back, but I send postcards. So that's what I do. I go to if I go somewhere, I'll send postcards to like my nieces and nephews. They enjoy that. They like getting the postcards. Um, but I don't really give out gifts because that's not in my budget. But if you want to include whatever in your budget, activities, if it's things that you want to do, you can set like, okay, these are the activities I know for sure I want to do. You need to know how much it's going to cost. Don't get there and then try to figure it out, because then you kind of put yourself in a bad situation. Then finding deals and discounts. I already told you about Groupons. And if you have a travel agent, they will look for the best discounts and the best deals for you. They will also let you know what is affordable for you or what is realistic, because sometimes people have unrealistic expectations of travel. Like they think that, they could catch a flight for $200 to Bali, which is not happening. Like you're not going to take a 20 something hour flight for $200. It's not happening. So being realistic with your what you want to do, and then also utilizing your travel rewards. So one is the credit cards, like I discussed before. And then also you can also get rewards from other things. Like there is like if you do surveys, they give you rewards. And so many surveys, you can use that towards airline gift cards or whatever kind of gift card. So you can use that in order to travel as well. And then also look at your job. Most jobs have travel on the back of their, in your back office, in their HR, where they offer discounts through your company, or they offer they have their own travel program. So you want to check there and see what rewards that they may have. And then some airlines offer stopovers, which is like a free stay over in places like Turkish Airlines. They offer a stay in Turkey. If you have a layover in Turkey, you can go and visit Turkey for, if you have a layover over 8 hours, you can go and visit the Turkey on them. They'll come and pick you up, and you just sign up on the form, and they will pick you up and give you a tour of Turkey. So it's a free activity. Copa Airlines. Yes. Copa Airlines, they have a stopover in Panama. So you can stay up to I believe it's 7 days. You could stay in Panama without paying additional fee for the stopover. You just if you book on their website, there's an option that says stopover, and you can go ahead and book. And then I think it's either Emirates or Qatar. I'm not sure which one, but they have a layover in Dubai, and they have a program as well. So there's programs that can give you like a 2-for-1 vacation. So you want to take advantage of that. And also when you have long layovers, get off the plane and go out, leave the airport, explore if it's 8 hours or more. If it's not 8 hours or more, do not leave the airport, because you still have to go back through customs and you don't want to get stuck. So, make sure that you have enough time. But if you have a long layover, utilize your layover. Okay, next slide. Okay, strategies for affordable travel, planning ahead. So as soon as you know that you want to travel, start planning out. Even if it's like a year off, 2 years off, it doesn't matter. I have vacations set for like 5 years from now, because I know that this is a place I want to go. And if it's on your bucket list, make your bucket list realistic. Like, or if you have a vision board, take it off the board. Like figure out, okay, I like this hotel, I like this place, and I want to know, I want to visit this. Put a time frame on it. Put a timestamp. Say, in 6 months I'm going to go, or at least start researching to see how much is it going to cost you to go. So then you can know, okay, this is when I can travel. Off peak travel. Now, if you travel off peak, you get the best rates. And you get the best rates because tourism is low. So they're trying to entice you to come and visit. And usually off peak time is like, if it's winter here and it's summer there, it's not off peak time, because that's when all the winter, the people trying to go there, snowbirds, they go, everyone is trying to get to where it's warm. So then that's where it's expensive. But if you're like leaving from a already warm climate like Florida, then you get the best deals going to other warm places because it's already warm. There's not a transition. But if you're coming from like New York and then you're trying to go to like the Caribbean, or you're trying to come even to Florida, the flights are more expensive during the winter months than it is throughout the rest of the year, because they know these people are trying to get away from the cold. So you want to try to look and see when is off peak. And most websites will tell you like the season, like this is in season, this is off season. And then some countries shut down. So you want to check and see. They shut down for holiday. They take a month off. And so even though you can go and travel there, the businesses are shut down. So you would not be able to do anything. So you want to, check that if it's off peak as well. And I kind of went over traveling on a budget. But like camping is a great way to travel. Like it's a great way for you to, one, spend bonding time, family time, and you learn so much about each other. Like especially if you're traveling with children, and you it's like all fun and games until you get there. Then when you get there, it's like, but you teaching them skills, life skills that you cannot get by just reading a book or staying at home and watching the internet. Like you would not get these life skills like pitching a tent, cooking on a fire. And then, not for nothing, we might one day have to cook on a fire. So you want to at least know how to do it if you ever had to do it. So that's the one thing that traveling gives you, is the opportunity to learn how to do new things that you necessarily would not do. So I'm ready for the next slide. Accessible travel. So making travel inclusive. So one of the things that is most important is being honest. A lot of people with disabilities don't be honest. And so it's true. They don't want, because they don't want people to put them in a box. But it's important that they go in that box, because it helps the airlines if you're traveling by flight, or it helps the hotels know what kind of customer you are and what they're dealing with. And also it lets them know what they need to have. Like if you need a wheelchair, or if you need sensory things, because so you need to know that. So be honest. Like if you're working with a travel advisor, let them know, okay, I'm traveling with someone with disabilities and this is what they may need. Or I'm traveling with someone that's elderly and they have a heart condition, or they have this. It's important that you disclose all of these things. Don't try to keep it a secret, because if you're secret traveling and something happens, no one knows how to handle that. Also, if you're traveling, there's a lot of places that have like wheelchair accessible, or they have ramps. You want to make sure that they have a ramp if you're coming in your wheelchair. You don't want to just get there and find out when you get there. Some old places have no are not handicap accessible. So it's good that you check it out and know. Also, I've been working a lot with people with autism. So one of the things is autism travel. It's big to know, like you want to know, like you want the hotel that you're staying at to know that you're traveling with someone that's autistic. Why? Because one, they may have sensory things that can help you with your travel. But two, you don't want an episode to happen and you get kicked out of a hotel because they think that you're being disruptive. They don't know what's going on. So you want to be always get finding out information and providing as much information. That way you can travel at peace. Um, and then also like if you're pregnant, you need to know like, okay, can I travel? I just had a client that thought that they were going on a cruise next month and they are 5 months pregnant. And they were like, oh, yeah, we already looked at the rates and everything. We're just seeing if you can beat us. And I was like, well, how far along is she? She's 5 months. Well, the cruise lines do not allow you to get on a cruise past 24 weeks. And if you are going to be in 24 weeks, anytime during the cruise, you cannot travel because they can't accommodate you. If you go into labor in the middle of the sea, they're not equipped to deliver a baby in the middle of the sea. So you want to make sure that you're disclosing everything. Um, also, um, actually traveling. So there's programs out here that can help people travel that may need a little assistance, like gate assistance is free. If you are traveling and you need someone to take you in a wheelchair to your gate, or maybe you can walk, but you're not really savvy with getting through the airport. You can get assistance and somebody will walk with you to your gate to make sure you get to your gate. A lot of times I find that elderly people travel alone, right? And then they get confused and lost in the middle of the airport. And I just traveled out of Atlanta and there was an older lady. She couldn't find her gate. And Atlanta's airport, if anybody's ever been, y'all already know it's crazy. And then they have the trams and you have to get on the tram and get off the tram. But the lady was afraid. She thought somebody was trying to get her. So she didn't want no help. But she clearly did not know how to navigate through the airport. And she wasn't willing to get no help. And probably whoever is she's going to visit, they're not aware that she's at the age where she needs help now. So also being mindful of your elderly people that are traveling, saying, hey, can you are you okay with traveling? Even if they say they are okay, still get the assistance. It doesn't hurt anything. If you have cognitive disorders, you want to go ahead and get assistance because it takes nothing to get wrapped around. You can get wrapped around real quick in the airport. It doesn't, if they change your gate or they do a gate change and someone with a cognitive disorder, they're not really, it's not transferring to them that they need to not, like they need to change the gate. They may have to walk. They're not counting the time and figuring out the time and all of that. So you want to make sure that you are letting people know that you have issues. It's not a bad thing. It's just letting them know so they can be more prepared, right? Um, Also, with autism, there's some programs out here that will do a sample uh, flight. So if you've never traveled on a plane and you want to know how your child will do or your even adult will do on a plane or in that situation, there's a program where you can they do a mock flight. So you go through the whole process as if you are boarding a plane. You board a plane, but the plane doesn't move. But it teaches them the steps so they can walk through and gate service and all of those things so they know, hey, this is how I can navigate through the airport and this is what it's going to look like when we get here. So it's no surprises because most people with autism, they don't like surprises. They want to know what's happening at every second. And if you walk them through and you give them trials, then you'll have a better flight. You'll have a better flight and the people around you will have a better flight. Because if you got on a plane and no one knows what's going on, the plane can't move. Especially since 9/11. They will not move the plane. They will ask you to get off the plane. It's a possibility you may not be able to go on your trip and may not get your money back because if you have an episode, because no one knows what's going on and the people around you are afraid. So you want to always make sure that you are making people aware, and also trying to see if you can do a trial run on a flight, or even cruises. Like cruise lines, they will offer you some things to show you around the ship, even if it's just a video tour. And now we have Oculus, or those VR devices, where you can actually you can put on the VR, and there's certain places you can put on the VR, and it's like you're there. So you can kind of tour and walk through a simulation. So that can help as well. So I think that's pretty much it for making travel inclusive. Just making sure that once you, because there's so many opportunities for you to travel. Just because you have a disability does not mean you can't travel. It just means make people aware, and then also just doing some research. It takes a little research, but that is, what you have to do with anything. So let's see.
There's a question in the chat.
Okay.
With camping, do they have programs to teach how to pitch a tent?
I don't know about camping, like a program to pitch a tent, but now these new tents are super easy to pitch. They're like pretty much like my tent has 2 poles. No, 3 poles. That's it. So it's really, you stick the poles together, you slid it through the slot, and then you just put stakes in it all throughout. So then you don't have to, it's really simple. The newer tents, they're not like back when I was a kid, it was a whole lot of sticks and you had to figure it out. But now most of the tents are like pop-up tents. So you can figure it out really quickly. Any more? No? Okay. Mm-hmm. How far can spirit? Well, I love me some spirit. So, it take you to South America. I think South America is pretty much the furthest South America, Bahamas, Caribbean, any Caribbean, but South America, I think, is the furthest that it can take you. But yeah, I love me a good spirit flight. $29, $49, $50. Last year I got my Costa Rica flight for $150 round trip. So yeah, that was a good deal. And the Delta plane was right beside us. We got there at the same time. Like it's not, some people, they don't like Spirit or Frontier Airlines. They don't like those airlines because they say that it's cheap airlines, but if you look at the safety regulations of the airlines, they have better ratings than most of your other major airlines. So, and then the delays. So American Airlines have one of the highest delays in airlines, but people love American, but they delayed all the time. I had a client that had to spend the night in Fort Lauderdale because the flight was delayed. So it's not, all the airlines to me are equal. And if I can get there at the same time for half the price, that's for me, because that's what's in my budget. But if your budget is longer than mine, then, go and take the other flights. Yeah, it may be uncomfortable. I wouldn't take, like, if Spirit went to foreign countries like Africa, I wouldn't take a Spirit flight there because the seats are uncomfortable, But a 2-hour, 3-hour flight, you can stand to be a little uncomfortable for 2 or 3 hours if it'll save you a lot of money, especially if you are traveling as a family, because one ticket at $400 is like, okay, yeah, no big deal because it's just one ticket. But when you're a family of 4, that $400 adds up and you can't afford that. Or, or even if you can afford it, you can be using that money towards other stuff. Like you can use that money towards activities, So it's like save, try to save wherever you can, So yeah, I would get me a Spirit in a heartbeat. Yeah, not my favorite airline, but I will take them for everything. I don't have no shame. But I'm short too, so that might be the reason. I'm 5'1", so it doesn't matter. I have plenty of leg room. Now, Y'all people that are tall, y'all don't have no leg room. That's, you got to upgrade your seat so you can have, but yeah, you can do that. So important things to do. One is you want to check your ID. Now, uh, if you don't have a real ID, you need to get a real ID. And a real ID is a passport or a driver's license that has that gold star in the right hand corner. That is a real ID. After 9/11, a bill was passed that they wanted everything to be a central location. So that's really what the real ID is. The real ID is that if I'm traveling from New Jersey to Florida, and they can see your driver's license. They can pull up everything. Like before, people would have multiple driver's license, in different states. When their license go bad in this state, they go to the next state over and give them a new license, you know? And so it's a safety measure for you, but it's also a way for the government to be able to track you. They are able to track all of your moves. So you can't, before it was no real record of your traveling. Like you could travel, they have the immediate record, but if you left and went to another state, the two states weren't talking to each other. But now the system talks to each other, so it works out for us and them. And then a passport. So the passport, you need a passport to go out of the country. Some people get passport cards. Don't. Unless you want it just for an ID, because most countries do not accept a passport card. So it's like extra money that your driver's license is an ID if you just want to have ID. But if you want something cute in your pocket, get a passport ID. But the passport book is what gets stamps. That is what most countries are looking for. Most countries will not accept the passport card. So, and then for the passport, you want to make sure that your passport is valid for at least 6 months when traveling, because some countries will not let you enter if your passport is going to expire within 6 months. For example, if your passport expires in January of 2025, some countries won't let you enter after May, because you could kind of stay a little bit longer, and they're not sure. No one is chasing you down and know where you are, so they want to make sure you leave when you're supposed to leave, and that your passport is valid, because you can country hop. You can go into one country and then go to another country from that country. You're not always just circling back. So you want to make sure that your passport is valid. Now, the passport application is really simple. It doesn't take that long. It takes about 5 minutes to fill out the application. It's just asking basic information. The application you can pick up at your library. You can actually download it from online. You don't have to go anywhere, but you get it from the library. You can get it from the post office or your local passport office. If you're applying for a passport, you will need your birth certificate. If you don't have a birth certificate, you'll have to go to the state that you were born and get a birth official record. So you would use that as documentation. Or if you had a passport maybe previously and it has been less than 10 years that it expired, then you can use your old passport instead of sending in documents. And you want to renew your passport often. Everybody should have a passport, even if you're not planning on traveling out of the country. You never know when you may have to, and or you may get a free trip. Like people give free trips, jobs give free trips, and all kinds of things. Or you may get a job opportunity that may require travel. So you want to always stay ready. You don't want to have to get ready. You want to already be ready. And I did want to go over some of the things that a passport can get denied. Like, how could you get denied for your passport? And so I'm gonna pull that up for you. So if your application is incomplete and you're missing information, that can lead to denial. If you didn't pay the right amount of fees, because you're writing a money order or a check over. So if your check is incorrect, you off $1, you may be off more than $1. But if you're off, then they won't process your passport. You'll get denied. They send it back, and they send you your reason for your denial. So if you ever get a denial, you'll get a reason, and you have time to appeal that reason. If your picture is not good, if you didn't use the proper photo for your always use a place that you can do it now at home some places, but if you don't have the right lighting, if you don't have the right background, because the background I believe is supposed to be white or blank, so you know, but I would suggest go to Walgreens, Staples, AAA. You can get, or the passport office, they do photos also, but they just charge a little bit more, where Walgreens I think is like $7, and sometimes they have coupons, so you can use a coupon and then you get a deal. If you have your proof of citizenship, your US citizenship documentation is incorrect. Sometimes older people, they don't have birth certificates, and so they run into problems because they don't have proof that they were born. I mean, that is true. Like, you know, some people, they don't have the proof, so that's when they run into issues. But you know, if you can prevent these things ahead of time, so you know, before you even submit your application. And then like if you have discrepancies and they can't identify you, if you have warrants, subpoenas, they're not gonna let you leave the country. And go to the passport office, you might get arrested. Unpaid child support of owing $2,500 or more can lead to passport denial. So now that's not saying that if you're in the arrears, but you're making payments, you have a payment arrangement. That's saying that you owe over $2,500 and you're not making, you have no arrangement on that $2,500. So if you have a payment plan, or maybe they're adding the arrears to your current payments, you're good, but you just can't do that. So that's that. And then if you had passport fraud, so if you previously frauded the government with your passport, then you're going to get denied for this next passport. And then if you have drug trafficking charges, so if you have drug trafficking charges, they will not issue you a passport. You can, of course, get an attorney and dispute it, but you know, if you have a drug trafficking charges, nobody wants you, because then you're giving them pretty much a certificate to say, go travel the world and traffic more drugs. So you can't do it. And then if there's like a national security concern, like if they think that you're a threat to the government, then they won't let you travel abroad. And then, incomplete parental consent. So let me go over that because that's a big one. So parental consent, both parents have to be there for the child when they're applying. But what if the other parent is not around? So if the other parent is not around and you have primary custody or sole custody or whatever the new language is for custody, but you have documentation showing that you are the person that can make all decisions for that child, then you can go ahead and fill out the application. If you are co-parenting, you need to talk to the other parent and have them complete their portion of the application. If they are not with you and they can't be with you, they have to fill out a document saying that they are given permission, but they're not around. And if you don't know who the other parent is, you would put that, like, you don't know. If you don't know who the father is, or you know, you would put that. If some people just don't know that information, so you would have to include that. You have to disclose it, and then they would make a determination. And then when they come back with a determination, if there's something that they're saying, hey, if the person is arrested or in prison or jail, you can put that they're incarcerated, and that's the reason why they did not fill out the paperwork. But you have to have something. You can't just go and think that you're the mom or you're the dad, so you have all these rights. The other parent has rights too. If you're in a custody battle, that would be a thing where they may not, because the other parent is saying like, no, I'm not letting my child go out of the country with you, or I'm not approving a passport. But that's when you, if you are going through that, you would have an attorney, and they would be able to include that in the divorce or in the child support. So you want to make sure, you talk to an attorney for that. And if you have unpaid federal taxes or loans from the federal government, and that would be like a large sum of money, not, you didn't pay your taxes last year, you owed them $1,000. They don't care about that. They still want their $1,000 though, but they're not gonna stress you. And then I wanted to go over emergency contacts. Make sure that when you're traveling, wherever you're traveling, that you always are providing emergency contact and let the person know that they are your emergency contact. So that way they are aware that they may get a strange number that they never recognize, maybe calling in for you. And then also put it on your phone, and anything that you're affiliated with travel, when it says emergency contact, put it down. If you have a travel agent, make sure they know who your emergency contact is. Things happen and you want to be ready. Learning destination etiquette. You want to make sure that you know how to act when you go to places. You don't want to just go there and think that you're entitled, because it's not fair to the other country. And whatever goes here doesn't mean that it's going to fly there. That's why a lot of people end up in prison or in jail, because they think that they have these rights that they have in the United States, and that's just not the case. And then health precautions. You want to make sure that if it's required to enter the country with any shots or anything, make sure that you do that. Also, if you know that this area maybe has malaria or have whatever disease, and you know that they're known for that, see what you can do to prevent it before you go, if that's something you're going to go and do. You don't want to just go and not get your shots, or not take a pill, or not do that, because your body is not equipped like the people that are living there. You're not accustomed to that, so it'll hit you differently, and it could cause you to die. So you want to make sure that you are taking precautions, and take your meds. That's the other thing. If you're taking medicine here, make sure that you bring enough medicine, and yeah, bring a few days, because you never know what can happen. Sometimes you have to stay a little longer. Yeah, right. I think that's it. Thank you for listening.
Any questions?
Okay.
Camping abroad, what do you recommend in terms of like thinking about what it would be like to be in a state park in another country?
Well, camping abroad, you would have to first find out what their rules are. And then some places offer they offer like campgrounds that have all the equipment, so you don't have to, like, you're not tracking with your equipment, you're just traveling. So you can do that, but you can just do a little research to see what countries is you can camp and where you can camp at, because a lot of people camp, and that's how they, or backpack, like a lot of people backpack through countries. Yeah, yeah, a lot of people backpack through Europe, stay in hostels. Yeah.
If anybody has questions for Shonda, we always upload the recordings. And when we upload it to YouTube, we put the contact information. So if you want to have a one-on-one with Shonda and ask more questions, go more in details, you can always contact her. And I always send an email also. So if you're on the mailing list, you're going to get an email with her contact information. So I want to say thank you again, Shonda.
Thank you.
And we're probably going to have you again to go into more details. I want to say thank you also to our interpreters, Camilo and Debbie, for Haitian Creole and Spanish simultaneous interpretation. And thank you everybody who attended. The reason why we do those webinars and workshops is because that information is not easily accessible. You would think it is, but some of the details people don't know. And I remember in school, they always used to tell you there's no stupid questions. And it's true. Sometimes people don't want to ask questions because they feel like they're going to sound ridiculous asking the question, but no, it's not. And when it comes to our community, it's even worse. The access is even more limited. So that's why we do this every month and eventually probably even more often. So thank you, everybody. Have a good evening and a wonderful weekend.